Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome to another week of the Whole Soul Podcast. I am recording and tuning in from the luscious lands and jungles of Costa Rica. If you see the video, you can see that I am surrounded by so much green. It's almost a little bit overwhelming. And getting a little bit into yoga philosophy and the chakra systems, green is actually associated with the heart chakra. And just seeing so much green is so expansive and inspiring and makes you feel connected to nature, to yourself, and just your heart space. So it's really cool and it feels so nice recording these podcasts out in nature and just hearing all the sounds, which has been a shift because I've recorded so many podcasts over the last few months in a room that just didn't have much life, and the difference is palpable. But getting straight into it, today we're going to be talking about how to stop caring about other people's judgments. It is human nature to want to fit into a group, to want to be liked. So when you feel that you are being judged, it really hits you in a really sensitive spot. If you think about it, we are meant to be in a tribe. We come from these tribal roots where humans are meant to be together in community. And if you look at all ancient civilizations or even indigenous communities or our communities today, we have to use the help of one another to really advance as a civilization. So when you don't feel like you're part of the tribe and you feel like you're being rejected, you feel like, yeah, you're being kicked out of the tribe. So you don't want to be rejected, and therefore you start attaining and acting in these people-pleasing ways so that you can be a part of the tribe. So you might be asking, well, how do I just fully let go of the fear of judgment? And I don't think it ever fully, completely goes away because it's so deeply rooted in us and it's so deeply rooted in our psyche. I'm sharing this podcast with you today because this is something that is really alive in my life right now, because I'm on this journey of transformation and really just transcending levels of consciousness and entering new levels and heights of life, which is a part of the journey of life, right? You graduate levels, you go to the next, you evolve, and at every single level that you go to, you will be met with the resisting or the equal resisting force to this new level. So also, I want to say that it's not fair to ever compare yourself with anybody else because we're all on our own unique journeys in this life, and someone that may be seemingly many steps ahead of you had to go through doors that maybe you're at one of those doors right now to get to that place. So I'm on this journey of transformation right now, and I think we're always transforming, but I feel like I've been at this threshold where I'm letting go of so much, including this identity of who I used to be, and really noticing more limiting subconscious beliefs that have been coming up to the surface and have just been so in my face, which has been beautiful. But one of the things that has been coming up pretty strong is this fear of judgment, of what will people think. And there's so many levels to this depending on where you're at in life, but I think every time you level up or you make a change in your life or you go through a transformation, this is something that will always be like a little voice that will come up, but we can't let ourselves get brought down by that voice or let that voice limit us from what we actually want to do. And also the journey of transformation and growth, which is in essence the journey of life, is about non-attachment. It's about letting go what is no longer in alignment or in resonance with who you're stepping into or who you're becoming. And this isn't just some new age concept, it's just the way life is. We live in an ever changing world and universe, and it's just a part of the process to shed, to transform, to become new, and repeat that process over and over again. I also just want to note that people will always judge you, no matter what, no matter how much you try to please someone and you're living out of integrity and inauthentically to yourself, people will judge you. When you live in your authentic self, the closer you get to your true self, people will judge you for that. And always, 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 when people judge you, it's because they still judge themselves. So never, ever should we take that personally. Never take judgments personally. And I know it's so much easier said than done, but the more you can brush it off of your shoulder anytime you feel even a non-verbal judgment from the way that somebody looks at you or just an energy you feel, know that it's never about you and it's a reflection or projection of what is happening from within the person that you are feeling that judgmental energy from. And an example for this that is really helpful and has been really helpful for me is that when you ask for advice from someone that is a few steps ahead of you or someone that has attained or achieved some sort of success, that person, more times than not, will never judge you for even trying to pursue a path that you can just take off on. Whereas someone, let's say from your hometown or your high school or even a family member, if you try to tell them what you are planning to do or the life you're trying to create, you can expect that that won't necessarily be received. So it's really important to know and never take advice from somebody that you wouldn't trade lives with. People will always meet you where they're at. So you can think of it from a perspective of levels of consciousness. We all are at different places on the scale. One is not better than another, but it's true. We all have such different walks of life, such different lenses, perspectives, experiences. So always take that into account when you are dealing with people in general and also receiving a judgment for someone. Because the truth is, people can only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. And I know that might sound cliche, but it is really freaking true. So let's get down into the meat of this. How do you actually stop caring less about the judgments of others? Well, I think the first part and the first step is identifying, recognizing, and just having an awareness of the people pleaser within you. If we care about the judgments from others, then most likely you have a people pleaser within you. So it's important to become aware of this and ask that part of you that is seeking approval or validation, what is she seeking? What does she need? And how can you give that to that version of yourself? I want to note here, you can listen to this podcast, but actually taking notes or just taking inventory on this and applying this process to your life is how the actual shift and transformation will happen. And really don't discount the power of this. It is so powerful and it can teach you so much about yourself and just parts of yourself that you weren't able to see consciously before. Once you acknowledge the people pleaser within you, it's really important to really visualize and get to know and understand who it is that you are trying to become. What is the identity shift that you are seeking? And how does the version of yourself that you are stepping into feel about herself, about life? How does she show up every day? What kind of energy does she exude? When you're going through a transformation, when you're at a threshold, it is so important to really visualize the version of yourself that you're stepping into, because something that happens, I find, in a lot of people is being kind of addicted to this space of being in transition or threshold and kind of becoming stagnant there. And what happens is that you don't really end up making a decision of a path you're going to pursue because of some sort of avoidance. And a part of you actually likes being in this transitionary state because you don't want to make a decision, or maybe you don't want to be seen. You have fears that come up around this. This is all about shifting your identity, right? You are not fully formed into this version of self. You don't resonate with who you once were. That might have not been a while ago. So visualizing and getting clear on what this new identity is that you're stepping into is such a critical part of the process. So this is step 2. And step 3, once you get clear on this, is becoming aware of any limiting beliefs that you notice, especially when creating and visualizing this new identity and version of yourself that you're stepping into. And more times than not, limiting beliefs will come up when you do this. By the way, I'm going to pause really quick and just let you know that there is a crazy puppy dog somewhere in the distance barking, and it's throwing my brain off a little bit, but we will make do. So apologies if you hear that in the background. I really thought it was going to be a quiet space, but I will sit with the sensation and keep going. That's actually a really beautiful embodiment practice. So yeah, write down the limiting beliefs that come up for you during this practice. And the next part to this is noticing or recognizing where those beliefs come from. And this is taking a step further because you're going to the origin, and maybe a memory comes up, maybe a person comes up, maybe an experience comes up where this belief system was formed. And it's really important to see this because it just makes you more aware of yourself, how these beliefs formed, how long you've been carrying it, and just being fully ready to let go, move on, and rewire. And that's actually the next step of this process. It is rewiring and rewriting. What is it right now that you desire to believe? What is it that you need to believe to become this new version of yourself? And this is a beautiful opportunity because you can create new beliefs that empower and really magnetize this new identity that you're stepping into. And step 5 is the embodiment piece. This is probably one of the most important steps because you can do all of the things. You can journal, you can recognize old beliefs, you can make new ones, but if you don't do the embodiment practice of visualization, of feeling in your body what this new identity and this new life that you're creating feels like, you're not really gonna get anywhere. And this is really important to do consistently for a short amount of time every single day. It's about repetition. It's about the practice of rewiring and kind of overlapping old beliefs with new ones that are empowering you. And this practice could look like a 10 to 15 minute visualization every day. There's so many different beautiful practices on YouTube that you can tune into. It could be on your own, sitting for 5 to 15 minutes, just feeling the emotions of what your new identity and your higher self is feeling like every single day in her life. Because here we are starting to play around in the quantum field to collapse timelines, you can say. And the key here with this is feeling the emotions of what your future self feels. Because by feeling it now, you're bringing it into this reality, into this present moment. And the more you can practice this, repeat it, and cultivate it, the faster you become it. You start to become the embodiment of what it is that you are calling into your life. So that is the process. You can always come back to this episode if you forget. I hope that you're taking notes so you can actually integrate this into your life. And before we end, I just want to give you some reminders that I wrote down before recording this episode. But the first thing is to stay in your own lane, especially in the world that we live in with social media. It's so freaking easy to compare yourself to other people, to people who are maybe a few steps ahead of you, and that just makes you spiral into low self-worth, feeling not enough, all the awful negative limiting beliefs that will keep you stuck in self-sabotage and just feeling low about yourself. So stay in your own lane. Know that your path is so uniquely divine. You're exactly where you need to be. And the challenges that you're facing, or let's say the blocks that you're facing, are actually here to serve you so that you can move through them and break through. And when you can hold that perspective, I promise life becomes a lot lighter. Doesn't necessarily become easier because you still have to do the work, but it's better to have a very optimistic perspective than just be in negative thought loops that will just keep you there. The next thing that will help you stop caring about the judgment from others is just becoming the version of yourself that is unfuck withable. Build your self-worth and your self-confidence from this new identity, because that is who you're stepping into. And you have to know that it's okay to be cringe. You have to be okay with being cringe, because no matter what you do, someone will think that you're cringe. So just love and accept yourself as you are. The most important thing is that you love the way that you speak, that you love authentically speaking your truth, and the right people will find you, as always, I promise. Also, know and trust and have the utmost faith that God is always working for you without a doubt. And having certainty in this is really powerful and a spiritual practice in itself, because it is a truth. And if you see that life is always presenting you with challenges and opportunities to grow and evolve, this is what will keep you strong in your heart and your spiritual practice to be a peaceful spiritual warrior. This is a big one, and it's been a big one for me in this part of my journey and throughout my life, but you have to know that not everybody is going to celebrate you. The people that you thought would celebrate you, sometimes they end up being the people that don't. And it's okay. You have to come to acceptance with this, because as you grow, as you evolve, as you step into new chapters in your life, not everybody from your past is meant to come into the next chapter with you. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with them. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you or anything, but it's just a process and part of life. So know that, yeah, not everyone's going to celebrate you or see you or outwardly support you in what you're doing, but that cannot affect you. You cannot let that get to you, because as long as you follow your inner calling and your intuition, and you know that the decisions you are making are best for you and they feel good and they feel authentic to you, that is the only thing that matters. And the people that are meant to support you will support you. And sometimes those people will be unexpected. It's really interesting to see that process. It's challenging. I know this is all so much easier said than done, but it's life. It's life. It's happening. I've been through this experience very recently. It's something I'm actually like processing and letting go right now, but I'm accepting it for what it is and really doing my best to stay in my own lane and just look straight ahead rather than looking back and being upset and feeling like, oh wow, I can't do this because my people aren't supporting me. No. And last but not least, the more you unravel and unpeel and uncover parts of your authentic self and really embody and lean into your authentic frequency, the people, the opportunities, the spaces, the environments that are meant to find you and be in your life will be magnetized towards you. So this actually goes with trusting that God is always working for you, because the more you lean into your true self and really uncover your inner truth and embody it, You will be supported, you will be guided. You always are. And the more that you resist it, the harder life feels, the harder things become. So, your alignment is actually something that works for you, even though, you might hear like people saying, follow your alignment, but it seems like there's so many obstacles because your life has already been set up a certain way, and it just feels really hard to let go of the life you're living and the things you're doing, the career that you have. So don't feel like you need to do everything right away, but if you feel like you're not living in alignment, then that is your body and your intuition telling you something. So start being curious about that. Start getting interested about that. And let me tell you, it is not the time right now as we begin the year of the fire horse to let the weight of the judgments of other people to get in the way of your sovereignty and stepping into more creativity and joy and alignment and health to get into your way. This is your year. This is your life. You are meant to be experiencing the challenges that you're experiencing, and they're here as opportunities to serve you. I love you. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you feel the inkling or excitement to be a part of a community for weekly support, accountability, consistency in connection, and just authentic connection with like-minded women, you should join the Whole Soul Collective. We are on week 2 of the container, the artist's way, which is all about unlocking your inner artist and creativity, which is so powerful. And I'm recording this right now, literally being on day 1, just opening the book. So it's a really exciting time. But if you feel called to join this and just have this amazing network of women that we already have forming inside, I'd love to have you. So I will put the link in the description, and yeah, I love you. You got this. I'll see you next week.